Well, good evening, and welcome to another exciting episode of Moen After Dark. I have, of course, Moen, and to my side, depending on which way you're looking at it, left or right, is Immaculate, my
Hey
co-host
guys,
for the evening. How are you doing tonight, Immaculate?
I'm good. Looks like you're about to break records going on in there. How you doing
Yeah.
tonight, man? You're in the studio, making a
Well,
little time for us.
yeah, we'll have a little announcement later on how I'm doing, but
Ooh.
for right now, we're gonna have some exciting, fun, interactive fun with chat here. You guys are gonna ask us some questions. We're gonna give you some answers. So let's go. Let's go ahead. We've already got Immaculate said we've already got like several people here chatting already. So
Yep.
let's jump right into it here. For starters, we've got a new member, Patrick Henry. Give me liberty or give me death. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate that membership. That makes you
Winner.
a winner in our book.
Nice.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. As soon as this show is over, go ahead and run over to the Wild Ute University and check out the new episode on Miami that's up there for members only right now.
Oh, okay. I see. That was what I was curious about what you had in hand there.
Okay, so I will get right down to this. I bought
Mhm.
a bottle of Crown Royal XO. It is phenomenal. It is one of the smoothest whiskeys I've ever had in my life. It has a cognac finish to it. I will not be drinking that on a regular basis.
That's good news. Yeah,
It was $60 for the bottle. I had a shot out of it with my father. We both agreed that it was probably the smoothest whiskey we've ever had. The cognac finishing that they did with it is incredible. I would highly recommend it, but it's not something I would drink every day. If I'm going to have a drink for the working man and working woman, it's just going to be regular Crown, folks. So um, maybe for a special occasion or something, I'll break out
Yeah.
that XO and do a shot with some people here.
We have that celebratory show over
Yeah.
something.
Yep. When we have a
All
celebratory show. Already got a super chat. Let's get to this. Rock and Rant. SEC stole my lunch money, to be honest. So here is my milk money. I guess some people finally like the title of tonight's show, which we'll be discussing at length. The Big Ten and SEC demanding the lunch money from the Big 12 and the ACC.
A lot of questions about it already too. So
Yep.
just saving a few of them so that way when you're here.
It's a good thumbnail. It's a good thumbnail. Thank you so much for that super chat, Rock and Rant. You're a legend around here, brothers. And before we get started tonight, I do want to send our thoughts and prayers out to Greg Flugar, the Godfather. He's getting over a little infection, and I know the little general's taking care of him. So thoughts and prayers out to the man. Hopefully he gets better soon and he gets back on the air here. So,
Absolutely.
all right, let's jump into some questions here. Conundrum. I'd like to know specifically what the Big 12 ACC intends to do, not rhetoric. I agree. I would also like to know that. What I think will happen is they'll roll over, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. Dan Miter is here. If the P2 want to form a CFP with more bids, more cash, and 2 semifinal teams, what is the point of the others' participation if it's not level? It's more like the SEC Big Ten Challenge. Another great point.
Yeah, and we've kind of been going into this a lot lately in terms of I don't think that's going to be agreed to. I think it's an ongoing negotiation. That's what was thrown back at them. First they came with 4 AQs. Then the response was, nope, 3 AQs for you. Then they said, okay, 3 AQs plus our tournament champions get the automatic bye. So now a response will come. I mean, it's how a negotiation goes. It's just this one's playing out over time with what they're calling socialization, trying to get everyone's thoughts and opinions on it, I guess. Trying to get some networks to come in, maybe offer bids on one of these ideas. If they don't get an offer, then they move on. Kind of, that's my guess. So in terms of, just taking whatever they say. That's not what I see happening. If that is what was happening, this would already be done. So I don't see anyone just rolling over for the Big Ten and the SEC in this. This is ongoing. I expected more from the CFP on Friday, but we did get a whole bunch of Big 12 coaches chiming in. So I would dare say they kind of know the mood in the room over there, and I would go off of that until we see otherwise.
Yeah, I really think what the SEC and Big want more than anything else is the ACC and the Big 12 to give up their championship games. They want to have those
rough.
two conferences, two co-champions, and they get the two automatic qualifiers, and the bye allows the Big Ten and the SEC to continue their conference championship games. Immaculate, I just want to know what the end goal is. If the P2 wants to break away, tell us. In the meantime, there should be no compensation except conference champs.
I'll say it again. If they really wanted to break away, this is not new news. This is old stuff. They already would have. I don't think they want to. It's the last straw. It's the last thing that they want to do, but they could. I just think that if they wanted to do it, it already would have happened. So we're just gonna have to hang on and watch this play out to some degree.
Jay Chapman looks like an SEC fan. I'm wondering if the Big and the SEC are discussing which conference will get who. I don't think so, because I don't think they're targeting the same teams. I honestly don't believe that the Big Ten is targeting North Carolina or Clemson at the moment. I believe their two main targets are Florida State and Notre Dame. If Notre Dame falls through, it's Miami as the backup.
There's no way of really knowing if they're having those kind of talks, but now that they're having it, an advisory committee together, I find it hard to believe that at some point in time, even if it's just at lunch, or at some point, that they're not actually, some of those people in that committee aren't talking about that, because those are presidents, ADs, those are high up decision makers that are in that committee. I actually didn't think it was going to be that way. So I would guess that there's some talks, but it doesn't necessarily mean they agree. If the SEC wants UNC and so does the Big Ten, they're not going to, what are you going to do? You can't cut them in half. So there's going to be some disagreement about that.
Preseason champs, OHIO. Hope everyone had a nice weekend. Back to realignment, NIL, revenue, and CFP talk. You ain't kidding. It's heating up around here in more ways than one. So we will get right into it. Dan Miter again. The NCAA will not exist in college football before the next CFP. So I want to know why. I want to know why the Power Two just don't. Their future tired of being blackmailed. Fair enough comment.
Yeah. To figure it out.
Jan Hulk joining us from Slovenia early in the morning. ACC could win court case, and ESPN could say we cancel TV deal out after 2026. A lot can happen. Absolutely correct. They're not beholden to the ACC beyond that extension if they choose to opt in or opt out.
Yeah, that's a very complicated situation, folks. There's layers to this. Neither side is going to want to drag this out too long. It's going to be too costly. There's a whole lot of bad PR involved. And on top of that, ESPN coming up here pretty soon could just be like, yeah, this is too much. This isn't a good deal anymore. We're going to be opting out. So there's a lot of angles to this. It's we'll see more this month. We're due to get something out of that court this month, so we'll see.
All right, this is from Conundrum. So there's no truth to the SEC and Big Ten networks joining together for a power network. I hadn't heard that rumor, but I would imagine not, considering the Big Ten network's owned by Fox and the SEC network is owned by ESPN, or they're the primary partner in it.
I have not. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I want to see what you said in that, but I've seen nothing, heard nothing. I would have no way of knowing if that's something they're planning to do. I don't think that's a good idea, because Fox is like now 2/3 owner of the Big Ten network, and the SEC network is at least half owned by ESPN, if not more. So they would have to figure out that between themselves as well. I know, they've got the app coming up, but that's not really a merger of.
Yeah, and there'd be way too much content for one channel if you merged both of those. I think you would need separate channels especially with the Big Ten at 18, the SEC at 16.
It's almost self-defeating. Like,
yeah,
those are meant to actually show a lot of the lesser content, and they would be showing less content by doing that.
All right, got another super chat for a friend, Carrie. Let me pull it up on the right screen here. There we go. Did everyone enjoy the NFL Combiner as much as us no fans? FSU boys definitely showed out and dominated. Totally agree with you. I like the thank you for putting forward some of that money for the bottle carry. It was chef's kiss, magnificent. And I will play your sounder for you, your official sounder.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of the NFL Combine because, quite frankly, a lot of Ohio State guys weren't there. They committed to come back for their senior year. I did see Tommy Eichenberger did very, very well in his drills and his 40 time. So I was happy to see that. And I know Marvin Harrison Jr. is not working out, and neither is Michael Hall Jr. So what about you, Immaculate? Did you watch it for that punter?
I saw that he did some good interviewing. No, I didn't watch for his punting, and a lot of guys who would have gone into that draft for Iowa actually are coming back as well. So, yeah, I didn't really get too much into this one. I know there's some of those. It kind of feels more like a livestock yard. Like many of the tests that they run has very little to do with the game. It's just this guy is more athletic than that guy. So it's interesting and it's fun, but I didn't really take much time in watching it this year.
Yeah, the biggest thing I took away was the Texas wide receiver running the fastest 40 time.
Yeah.
But, I wouldn't put too much weight in 40 times because, I'm a Bengals fan and I remember with John Ross what happened there. So.
I mean, yeah, you can run a great 40 time, but if you can't break the bust at the line when the DB hits you in the chest, then you're all of a sudden you're not the fastest guy on the field. So it's great, but in combination with everything else.
Let's see here. Back to where I was at. Thank you again for that super chat, Carrie. We appreciate it. Appreciate you very much. Isn't the Tallahassee court still moving forward as of today? There have been no dismissal in either case. So the North Carolina court is carrying forward. The Tallahassee court is moving forward.
There's a little more news about the North Carolina court, but the Tallahassee one's still going forward. There's even been amended complaints and everything in that one too. So it's just people seem to be focusing on the North Carolina one a little more.
Steve-O, good to see you, Steve-O. There will not be a Power 2 breakaway, maybe a Power 3 plus. I tend to agree with them.
Yeah, I think I even answered that in chat that the only breakaway right now that I feel very strongly about, that not that this is necessarily the whole truth, nothing but the truth, but that the FCS and the FBS will be breaking away from each other. Could be more than that. Of course, it's just, to me, that's the only one at this point in time that seems like it's a sure thing.
Immaculate, this one's for you. Couldn't the FBS be split in half still under the NCAA? Just think there has to be a split somehow.
Yep.
Charlie Baker has been pretty clear that he is aware of revenue issues coming.
Now, FBS is just the subdivision in Division One. Right now, I'm just saying I think that the two subdivisions break apart and we'll have two different divisions. In terms of the FBS itself being split, I guess he's saying the power conferences and the G conferences. I don't think so. Of course, I could be wrong. I just got to understand, like, those G conference schools, they're like the G leagues for the NBA. Now, especially with transfer portaling, I mean, they're getting players from there that are proven that they know what they're getting, and you bring them up and onto your team. Coaches, it's a great place for them to get experience. If they break apart and they don't have as much look to it, they're going to have a decrease in the quality of that experience for those coaches. So for the overall situation, I just don't see FBS breaking apart. If they didn't see value in them, I don't think they would have ever formed the CFP with them. So I think that'll stay, but they can still be under the NCAA. It'll just be with that autonomous conferences board.
J-Baller 54, any more have you heard on the CFP format possibility? The last we know was 14 teams, 3-3-2-2-1-3 model, with the Big Ten and the SEC receiving first round byes for their conference champions.
Yeah, that's where I think where we stand. We got some feedback from some Big 12 coaches, which was quite frankly very entertaining, interesting, and also expected. And we would say that that's probably the same mentality that's going on within their organizations, including in higher up positions. So that's where we stand. We're kind of waiting for a Monday response, like an official response coming out of the CFP of what the next offer is, so to speak.
Front runner, good to see you, front runner. Haven't seen you around here before, or if I have, I've forgotten about it. Why would ESPN want Alabama, Ohio State to have a bye? No money in that. I think that's more the conferences want that bye to protect that conference championship game.
Mm-hmm. And to a degree, what they don't want to see is one of those teams, any given Sunday, any given Saturday, a team might falter. Now, that's not to say there's a high percentage, but it could. And I don't think that they want those teams losing early on. So by getting a bye in the first week, you're kind of giving them a little benefit. You're giving a little more time to get over any injuries. You're getting a little less beat up than the team that's going to play them in their actual first game. They're going to get a chance to see that team the week before and prepare for it, whereas the other team isn't exactly seeing where the team they're playing is. So there's a lot of benefits to having that bye. It's basically house rules. We're trying to make sure this team wins. And like he's saying, it also benefits their conference championship value in terms of how much they can sell it for. And let's not forget those renegotiations. I don't know exactly when that's coming up, but it has got to be coming up soon. The pricing for those is still back in BCS days. So they're preparing to sell those again. If anything, the threat to do away with them might be to try to draw in the networks to try to save those, to do something to save those, to pipe in on one of these ideas. But yeah, that's coming up for renegotiation as well.
Kenneth Evans just wants to say, what's up, Big Ten fans? We are Big Ten fans.
What's up, Ken? Texas fan.
Preseason champs, OHIO, moving from 16 to 14 helps the Big 12 ACC G5. So what is that? What is that group ready to give up?
Curious what
it
you
would
have
to be money. Have to be money.
Do you agree with him though? Do you agree that which one do you think is better for those, 16 or 14?
You're gonna have just the odds. The odds are going to increase. So you're going to have more Big 12 and more ACC teams by adding 2 more slots.
So he's saying that going down, like staying at 14 is better for them. I like I said, I disagree. I think that you're right. I think 16 is better for them. I think 16 is not good for the Big 10 and SEC. Number one, we see how much they value their conference tournaments and they want their champions to have a bye in the first round. Going to 16 makes that near impossible to do. Just the way tournaments break down.
I think you would get rid of conference championships.
Yeah. And so to me, 16, at least the threat of it is actually more beneficial to the others.
Yeah, I agree with you. Don in Kansas, hope you had a great birthday, Mo, and I did. I had a meatball sub. I had some good whiskey. Spent some time with family, so it was really good. Thank you for for the well wishes on Twitter, everybody. I did appreciate those. Watching Buckeye Scoop, they said that UNC is talking to the big. Well, UNC has talked to the big for a while.
Yeah, that
Thing you
is.
got to keep in mind with Buckeye Scoop is they throw a lot out there that doesn't stick. And then the one thing does stick, and they're Nostradamus
Look
all
at
of a
us.
sudden. So we're guilty of the same thing, but we don't claim to be insiders.
Yeah.
We're just wildly speculating with the rest of you. We're just having fun with it. But yeah, I'm sure UNC has talked to the big. I'm sure UNC's talked to the SEC. They've got all fronts open.
There's a certain guy, last name starts with a D, ends with a Y, and has Elaney in the middle of it, who is both a consultant for North Carolina and for the Big Ten, like paid consultant. So yeah, they've talked, and basically it's like him talking to himself when they do so. He is the go-between between that school and the Big Ten, and has been for a long time, even when he was commissioner. So I would say, though, with the changing of the guard with some of the presidents, you might be seeing a little less love for UNC. That's an old thing. Not to say that it's gone. I don't think it is, but the potential for that changing gets greater with each new president that comes in, new ADs. It's just because new ways of thinking coming in.
All right. Looks like Nate must be here, and he gifted some.
Oh my goodness!
Memberships to the community.
Who'd we get?
Hey, let's see. Joaquin Morales, Christopher Counts, Patrick Weigel, Ag Biochemist, and Grillmaster. You were all gifted memberships by the College Football Mafia. That's us. Part of our promo memberships. If you could, right after this show, go out and watch Wild Ute University. There's some public videos right now. UNC, Florida State, Clemson. I would give those all watches. But now that you're a member, you can get the early peek. You can take a look at how does Miami fit into the Big Ten, and see where the chalk lies on that. That's a really good video. I definitely recommend you do that right after this show.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Thanks for doing that, Nate. Why and how much more do the Big 12, ACC, G5 need to give up? What are we really talking about? I think it's money. I think money is going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah, I think that's in essence what it eventually is really all about. But in order to get to that point, they have to, if this is where you want to get things to, you got to go beyond that in your negotiations to get it back into that line. And I really think that's all it's about. I don't think they're trying to cut anybody out. They're just looking at things like House versus NCAA and saying, look, reality is the Big Ten and the SEC are going to have more of the settlement or the judgment attributed to them than the other conferences, just based upon how much money has gone in there. And they're going to look at some percentage, like this is what should have gone to the players in NIL. And that's what they're going to get charged. And so they're looking at saying, we might make more, but we're also going to be putting out a lot more in the future. So I think that they're more preparing for the future than trying to hurt the others. But I get from the perspective of the others, it's, that's not cool.
Speaking of money, Summit Hawk has gifted 5 memberships to the College Football Mafia.
He's back.
Those went out to Moff Prof, Jose, Minnesota Seminoles, Devil Frog, and Nathan. Make sure you guys thank Summit Hawk in the chat. He is a winner. And he is a Jayhawk. Thank you again, Summit Hawk. You're a legend in the community. We appreciate your generosity towards us. We couldn't do this kind of stuff without your guys' support. Really helps us keep the light bill paid and the streaming software paid. We greatly appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And thank you, Summit Hawk. If anyone, well, you know what? I had to give him a salute.
Right on.
Ooh. Little heat after that smooth whiskey. If anyone thinks a breakaway would have antitrust issues, I don't think that's for sure it would. I can tell you the two conferences talking directly about what teams to take from the ACC would. Yeah, nobody's going to be doing anything on paper, and electronic communications, any kind of tracking or anything like that. It's not what you know, it's what you can prove, and they're going to make sure you can't prove it.
Yeah, there's just a lot of extreme talk right now, so it's a bit tough for folks to kind of look at it and go, what's real and what's positional talking. So we just kind of got to abide and make our way through it as best we can, and hopefully we can help each other to look at some of this and realize it's just talk.
Rock and Rant. I cannot stand FSU, as you guys would know, but Dennis Dodd doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. You've got a definite opinion on that, don't you, Immaculate?
He's touching my trigger button. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Dodd. He seems to follow up everything. I think he lost his sources, and so he's still trying to maintain the position he used to have. So he takes what people say and he tries to throw in a little bit of extra juice to it to make it, sell. And then he ends up having to backtrack on stuff quite a lot. So not surprising to see him trying to put some stuff out there that make you have a little head scratcher.
Jackson Day Jr. Charlie Baker was our governor in Massachusetts. He'll allow enough change to make people largely happy.
Love the comment from Twitter X.
Thank you so much for the comment, Jackson.
That's exactly what I see when I see Baker. He's trying to make a name for himself, right? He came in, he's supposed to solve this problem, and the major conferences are not going for it, and it just kind of seems like now it's almost childish to a degree. So that certainly makes sense. Appreciate it, Jackson.
And we've got Marcus Williams, who's been a member for 1 month. Moen, you're hilarious for a Buckeye. Go Blue. Go Bucks. You got me to say go Blue. That was
he did. I was like, did I just...
Congratulations, Marcus Williams. And I don't take that cut it up into
someone's going to cut that.
Thank you for being a member, Marcus. We appreciate it so much. Jet is in the house. Dennis Dodd said he was told Big and SEC could double their money if they broke away from the ACC and Big 12.
God. He's really just pining for views now. That's look, folks. That's just not good business numbers. Like to think that like just suddenly like how do you double your money? Like they think that people aren't just going to be like fed up with the whole thing. Like that people are just machines programmed to watch no matter what you do to it. No, I mean, he's trying to get people to talk about him so that he maybe can get some of his sources back. I don't know.
Muff Prof, new member, gifted a membership tonight. Congratulations, Muff Prof. Question: from one perspective, could ESPN threatening to pull their CFP bid be used as a little leverage by the non-P2? It could be. I don't think so, but it could be.
I mean, that's really hard to tell. Like, because ESPN has investment in all these parties. I mean, they've got investment in the Big 12. They got investment in the SEC. They got investment in the ACC. They're on both sides of this. Yeah, honestly, I don't know where they would stand on this. I mean, while they, of course, are going to be supportive of the SEC, I don't think they're going to want to damage the other properties that they're paying out big money for too. So I don't know.
Oh, we got a super chat here from Marcus Williams.
Oh,
as an Iowa living Arizona, Scottsdale, I'm noticing a lot of us out here, Immaculate. Have you peeped that? I guess yes. Iowa retires to Arizona.
A lot of Iowa comes here. Also, right now, we have our little spring training time here. So the Cactus League is going on. So we got a lot of folks out here right now, man. Oh my goodness. This might be the busiest I've seen it for Cactus League in a long time. But yeah, a lot of Iowans here, a lot of Kansans here. We get some Wisconsin. It kind of seems to be the dividing line now. Once you get across the Mississippi, it seems they start to go more towards Florida. But yes, a lot of Iowans here.
Yes, Ohio is definitely, we head to Florida. That's where we go before we die. Thank you for the super chat, Marcus. Much appreciated, brother.
Very much.
Give you a little macho man.
Oh yeah!
Bob Iger is selling 80% of his Disney stock. Is that a red flag for ESPN? That's a red flag for earnings reports.
Did I see something that they're letting him go?
He came back, but I think it's only a limited time he agreed to come back.
Yeah, like if he's being let go, I mean, is it a red flag for ESPN? It's a red flag for Disney.
Yeah,
ESPN can still.
Yeah, he knows what the earnings reports are, and they're not good.
Yeah,
they've put more shit on the screen this year than anybody else. I mean, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, that Haunted Mansion movie bombed. I mean, they've been dropping bombs left and right at the movie theaters, and quite frankly, nobody's watching Disney Plus. So,
I think, I mean, like for ESPN can still be making money.
Yeah,
and it's just a portion of Disney. Now, what it could mean for ESPN is, look, if that's the one thing of value, Disney is gonna have to pony up at some point in time and be willing to at least sell a portion of it, or take in some fellow investors, because people don't want to invest in something that's crap, that's on the way down, that's garbage. They want to get involved with something that's actually working. So I think it does mean something for ESPN, but it probably means we might see something else pop up, whether partnerships in it. They've talked about some pro leagues possibly getting involved with that, which to me stinks. Like, oof, that's very questionable. But then also maybe some others, like they might make a deal with Apple or Amazon, or who knows.
we shall see.
Yep.
Jan Hulk, a lot of talk of who will join Big Ten, but they have only 2 open spots, in my opinion. I agree. I think right now in this phase, we'll call it phase 2, I believe they go to 20, and I think they top out at 20 until the end of this next media deal. What do you think?
I think for now they'd probably prefer to not do more than 2. You know, if they have 2 and then Notre Dame's like, okay, we'll come. Well, then they'll probably do a third. And if you're going to do a third with Notre Dame, you probably want to attach someone that you want to bring in the future, because Notre Dame's going to pave the way for them. So to me, it's either 2 or 4. I know people have said 2 or 3, but to me, FSU and Notre Dame are the value adds. You want to attach something to that. So it's either maybe Florida State on their own for a little while, but I think it's 2 or 4.
I like the blackjack conference idea. 21 teams, 3 7-team divisions. Kenneth Evans, why don't they give 4 first-round buys to the top 4 ranked conference champs in a 16-team playoff? I think they might eventually do that. That might be where we're going.
Gonna have to break down the math on how the tournament works for that one. That is not possible unless they do something like I've seen presented. We had Edward. I haven't seen him on here today, but if the math can work, if you do a 2 buys for the first 4, then 1 buy for the next 4. But if you just give 4 buys, your first round starts with 6. 6 come out of it. It's 12. 6 come out. You add those 4 to it for your 10. Out of 10, you get 5. So now you've got to figure out what do you do with 5 teams. So the mechanics of a tournament make that difficult unless they make it a lot more complicated, like what Edward had talked about with 2 buys for the first 4 and then 1 buy for the next 4. So that's why 16 seems probably not.
Right. Coy has gifted a membership to the community. Thank you so much, Coy.
Hey, Coy.
We appreciate
Good to see you.
that. I get my sounder.
Winner.
Hawkin2, you were gifted a membership by Coy. So if you are in the chat, please consider telling Coy thank you very much for that. And then after the show, run over and watch the Wild Ute University on the University of Miami in the Big Ten. What were you saying, Immaculate?
Oh, I was just gonna say. Actually, I was just wondering if Edward was in chat, and he is. So we'll see what he has to say here in a little bit down the road here when we get to it.
Summit Hawk sneaking in for some quick fun. We appreciate that, Summit Hawk. We appreciate you, Mr. J Hawk, in the chat. The Big Lubbock. Who gives a crap about how worthless the ACC schools fit into the Big? Why doesn't Wild Ute do an analysis of how they fit in the SEC? I'll tell you why, because they don't fit into the SEC.
Oh, good stuff, man.
Well, listen, Wild Ute is going to do, there's going to be Wild Ute universities of how schools fit in the Big 12 and how they fit, I think he's doing Georgia Tech. And I think the next one after that is going to be either an SEC or Big 12 video. Mm-hmm. So I like to say stay tuned. Stay tuned to it. We're going to get everybody in probably before anybody makes a move. So
just for everyone to understand, it wasn't like out of favoritism to the Big Ten that he did that. Wild Dude is an analyst. He looks at numbers. That's what he does. And for him, looking at how they could fit into the Big Ten kind of has the most complications to it. Big Ten, they got all these different hoops and things to jump through and in order to be considered worthy. So I think that's why he picked that one. It's just purely from an analyst perspective, not from a favoritism. And he is planning on moving on to other ones.
And we got another super chat for our Wolverine buddy, Marcus Williams. Man. Did Gus Johnson leak info today saying during the broadcast today we might get Anna Hidalgo to broadcast in a year or two?
I have no idea. It's first I've heard of this.
Yeah, this was from the Iowa-Ohio State women's basketball game.
Okay. How'd that go for
you? Yeah, well, home cooking by the refs. Talk about some technical fouls. There was no technical fouls there.
Home court advantage.
Yeah, home cooking. But yeah, I heard that. We'll see. I mean, it's definitely a possibility. Women's basketball, women's volleyball in particular, huge gains recently in the Big Ten. So I think you're probably going to see more women announcers brought into it. They're not just going to be sideline reporters anymore.
Yeah, and it's not, and it's not just like pandering. Like they're putting together.
Oh, they know
actually
what they're doing. Yeah.
Good games in both basketball and volleyball. I think there's a lot of potential there. So they should be. If they're not, they should be. They should be looking to start to bring up some of these women announcers and getting them experience, getting them time so they're comfortable. So that way, when all this really starts to break bigger, they have them there. They're ready to go.
Thank you so much for the super chat, Marcus. I will go ahead and
let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook.
Give you the let him cook sounder. Appreciate that super chat, my Wolverine brother. Antoine Coates has been a member for 2 months. He wants to know, will the CFP go beyond 16? Imagine they go beyond 16. You're just going to ruin the regular season at that point. I mean, 16, you're already taking a big chunk of how important the regular season is.
I'm actually of the mind that it's going to get smaller. We're seeing it's just very difficult to come to agreements on things anymore. The days of the easy agreements are over. It tends to suggest decentralization, not greater centralization. If you're having a hard time agreeing to things, it's pretty hard to agree to add more to that. So probably not.
Nate has a question. Which format is better, 4-4-2-2-1 or 3-3-2-2-1?
Depends upon who you are. I tend to think that less AQ is better regardless, period. I'm not a fan of them, but I get that they're working out their voting rights. They're working out their ownership payout rights through this. It's not just about the tournament. So, folks, keep that in mind. It's not all as it seems. There's a lot more to it. So, but just in terms of AQs, I really can't stand them.
Yeah, the first round buys are going to be the sticking point. Big and SEC don't like spending billions on lawsuits, contrary to popular belief. Well, I don't think anybody likes spending billions on lawsuits.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Lawyers love them, though. Billable hours.
They're making a killing these days.
If it wasn't going to get us copyrighted, I'd pull the little Simpsons clip where it goes, imagine a world without lawyers. Everybody's dancing underneath the rainbow. Everybody living in harmony. The big teams always fill Mountain America Sun Devil Stadium when they come to Tempe.
It's true. I mean, there's a lot of Big Ten people here. I mean, the Big Ten holds spring meetings here. They come here in numbers. So it's why I've always kind of had ASU as a dark horse candidate. And now that they're AAU, I wouldn't even call them dark horse. They're just a candidate.
You get old in Ohio and Big Ten country, and you get tired of the winners. It happens. You eventually
I'd have a hard time going back if
screw this shit.
Yeah,
I can't take it. When it's -19 when you wake up in the morning, you gotta go start your car for work. It's not fun.
Nope.
I am 20 minutes behind. I had to say this in case you guys didn't hear, but the outlaw of college football was making fun of Moen and questioning Immaculate's position on Big Ten caring about academics. Okay, well, he can.
He's an SEC guy.
Yeah.
I expected it, and that's outlaw, man. He'll tell you what he thinks, regardless of whether you care or not. So, I would maybe have to check it out, but it is what it is.
Hey, he's saying my name, baby. I ain't saying it.
Yeah, not going to complain about that.
Edward Wayner's in the chat. Hello, gentlemen. If Big gets FSU and goes to 19 and USC contacts both Big and SEC, can we see a bitter war for UNC? I don't know that you're going to see a bidding war for them. I don't. I
think that becomes the case if they're trying to get one of them to take UNC and NC State together. But eventually, if say FSU breaks free, if things start, imagine how things went with the Pac and just kind of loosely project that onto the ACC about how what people are saying now might not be the same thing they're saying later once stuff starts going down. UNC governors saying, they're together right now. Well, as things start to get stressful, they might move off of that a little bit. That's when it could be dangerous for the Big and the SEC, or for the SEC, because then they will be directly competing with the Big Ten. And there are some other things they can offer besides just sports to UNC. Quite frankly, the SEC cannot. So could that happen at some point in time? Yeah.
All right, we got a very special guest, Nate Browns on stage.
Showed up on a Sunday.
He's just in time for a super chat from Ryan.
You're the outlaw now. You're not supposed to be here on a Sunday.
My wife's doing something on her phone. She does language stuff. I had a couple minutes.
It looks a little dark there. I'm like, he snuck away.
I thought I'd sneak in and kind of do some, observational, things on, Twitter and Twitch, and just trying to see how we're doing. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Yeah, busy. We're it's been quite a busy chat. Of course, we're not having to compete right now, so you'll have that.
Yeah.
Somebody I don't know was making fun of me. So
yeah, we just found out Outlaw's been making fun of Moen.
Who is?
You remember Outlaw, the Alabama SEC?
Oh yeah,
content maker.
He's a friend of mine. Why?
Yeah. No, we're not mad about it at all. Someone was saying that he was making fun of him and talking about me talking about academics.
We need to get him on the show.
Hell yeah, he can
I'll send him a tweet right now. Let's see if he can come over.
It seems like Ryan Willie with a $5 super chat. It seems like Wild Ute think that it's all about numbers on whether a team fits anywhere.
That's his gig.
He's into finances, guys.
That's his gig, and
if you're gonna follow him, it's Ute.
His graphics are on point. He keeps everything, all of it the same. But you can interpret it differently than him. So when people hear what he says about it and they conflate it with, the graphics are bad. No, the graphics are great. And it's okay if you disagree with him about his interpretation of them, but that's how he sees things. That's his world.
Sorry, I'm just sending an outlaw a message.
Oh, you're good.
Is he on right now?
He's on right now.
Oh, I
think
didn't
he's
know.
doing a
It
show.
doesn't matter. He might just
That's
drop his
fine.
show and come over to ours.
Yeah, we probably got more viewers anyway.
Yeah, you guys are doing great. I was just
Um,
going to give you big compliments. You guys have been doing everything you need to do. I want to thank everybody for doing the super chats. The membership thing is a big deal.
Yes,
and then, of
thank you for
course-
dropping those promo memberships earlier.
Yeah, and I'm willing to pay some of those out of my pocket too. So it's all good. I appreciate the effort you guys are doing. Moen, are you feeling okay?
I'm feeling okay. I'll have an announcement at the end of the show. We're gonna have some fun here first, though.
But
Yeah.
I like fun better. Well, I don't mean to interrupt you guys. You guys keep going. I'm just
Okay.
observing, really.
Oh, I mean, you stick around. Like, this is basically what we do. We're just hanging
Yeah.
out with chat. I mean,
We
they're
just talk with chat.
they're throwing questions at us at a machine gun pace right now. So, even if you just see some good questions and star them for us, man, that's
Yeah.
also very
Yeah,
helpful.
by all means.
Sure.
You got something you see in there you want answered, we'll answer it. Ryan Willie, will FSU announce that they're leaving the ACC by August 15th? I think yes.
I do, but what that's going to be for, the cost, that's up in the air still. But yeah, I don't think that they're going to continue holding this out. I don't think anyone wants that. They're just jockeying for position and strength in the settlement.
Kenneth Evans, I actually think 12 is a good number for the CFP. So he likes the format that we have going forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we haven't even seen it yet. That's the ridiculous part. You could be right that that's the sweet spot. That's perfect, and they're destroying that before we even get there. But there's other problems to it besides just making the perfect tournament, and that's unfortunately seems to be harming it. What do you think, Bomber? You think 12 is the perfect spot for the CFP, or do you think more?
As long as they can keep it so that the two passes, at the beginning, the buys they get, I think the top two, I'm okay with them getting buys. It's a little like the NFL, but I don't like the fact that they're just given to them, right? I think everybody should have to earn something. So 16,
do you like 4 with 12? That's a little more, it's for everybody, or would you rather have more opportunities for more schools and you're willing to give to the Big Ten and the SEC in order to get those more opportunities?
Yeah, I saw something the other day that I thought was interesting, and we can have, man, our society, our mafia culture here is so great. They really generate a lot of thinking, and one of the ones I saw was the A4 now, which is pretty solidified until whatever happens to the ACC. I like the idea of them all getting a bye in the first round, and then you moving to 16, and then the conference playoff games aren't for the first game. It's for the seeding for the next two seeds. So the second and third teams would play. So all the number ones would get a pass, and then they would play for the number twos essentially in the conference tournaments. That way the main team gets a bye. They get the money from the conference tournament championship. Well, so you would have to name it something else. So the leagues all get more money. There's more exposure and more teams in the tournament. And I'm always for more. I think we should have more teams, because when a Boise State comes through, or a Utah, which is now promoted, but Boise State comes and they have a team that goes 12-0, and they will eventually, they'll get another one. I think they ought to have a chance just as much as anybody else to get that bye. So
yeah, there's a line. It's like between, you want everyone to have access and have a chance. Even if it's a small chance, you want them to know going into the season, like there's a chance to take part in the biggest stage. But I don't know how much I really like having all these positions coming out of the same conferences. Like just personal taste, like not even trying to talk business about it. Like I can see the business sense to it, but just personally, like the idea of not having a conference championship, but having a conference tournament that doesn't lead to us having, as a Big Ten guy, it's hard for my brain to even compute. But I get that, like the logic of it and everything you're saying, it makes sense. It's just for me, almost as just a fan, I'm like, man, that one would be hard for me personally to stomach, just as a fan.
Yeah, I get it. I just think everything should be earned. We have a society that's merit based.
Yeah, I
right?
agree. Yep.
We're not aristocracy like there is in England. You know, Liverpool in England's never going to get demoted into the championship. It will never happen. Even if they were the last team, they would find a way to keep them promoted because it hurts the overall brand if your best teams get, relegated. And Moen has said it how many times? They're not going to relegate those teams. They're not going to get rid of Vanderbilt. They're not going to drop Purdue. So this idea that this SEC, it's a threat, but if I was the Big 12, I'd call their bluff. There's not enough content in those two leagues. Even if they expand to 20, they'd have to go all the way to 24, and there's not enough money to support 24 teams in a conference at $70 million. If there was, we'd be looking at something already different.
And the more you add, the more complicated it gets, the harder it gets to come to an agreement. Like, it's not going to get easier. I think people think that if we add more, it gets easier. No.
I agree with you. That's right.
No. Yeah. I think 12, going back to the question here, I do think 12 was the sweet spot. And I think we're realizing that right now as they're looking to go beyond it, that, they found what was perfect and they never even gave them a chance to try it out once.
Let's talk about this one, guys. It's come up. A lot of people look at the basketball league, or the basketball championship in March Madness is maybe something you could do with football. Just so everybody knows, that's too many games. You have 6 rounds. So what do these schools are only playing 8 games a year, and then they go into the tournament. It's just you can't go that deep. 16 is about as big as you could get.
I think that's where the NFL would step in and say, well, okay, we're going to show you what's up. Like,
right. I mean, the NFL's already doing 32.
They're putting up with a little bit because of laws that have been put in place. But you start going to that level, those laws aren't going to protect the CFB. So the NFL will come in and chop their knees out from underneath them. So there is a point of too much. And I think they're already getting to that point, to be honest.
Right.
Jan Hulk is watching. He's saying if Liverpool was last, they would demote him. I'm telling you right now, they would not let them be
Liverpool
last.
would just buy the players off of someone else.
They would.
And it happens.
At the deadline, they would go in and spend $500 million.
It literally happens.
Yeah,
there's been big name teams that have been saved by doing that.
Absolutely true. But I do love Jan here at 3 a.m. or whatever it is. He's a stud.
He's got that European look at them. Like, probably tell us, Jan, what do all the rest of Europeans think about the Premier League having 4 AQs? Yeah, I probably shouldn't even get going with that, but it's true. I mean, it's interesting to watch us try and do some of the same things that they're doing across the pond.
But they're different. They're egalitarian over there.
It's different. I just mean, like, there's
the
similarities.
cultures are different. Yeah. Any culture that can support ties has, in my opinion, they're a little different. And Europe is different. They do things different. So
it's a different culture for sure.
Yeah.
Carrie, guys, don't get jelly, but I live across the street from the ocean and I can hear the waves crashing right now. Perfect.
Oh, that sucks.
Degrees.
I'm sitting in snow right now.
They keep telling us that we're gonna have beachfront property here in Arizona at some point in time, and I'm starting to not believe it. But
well, you saw Superman, didn't you? Come on, Superman showed you how that was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds wonderful, Carrie, and I am a little jelly.
It's supposed to be 72 here in Ohio tomorrow, so
it was really nice here in Arizona.
How we doing for memberships, and how we doing for super chats tonight, guys? I haven't been paying attention.
Doing good. We've had a lot of generous people help us out here, keeping the lights on, so keeping us knee deep in quality whiskey.
There you go. I love that.
Hawk did 5. Coy did 1.
Excellent.
Yeah, there's been more than that too. I mean, we've had some super chats. It's been really good. Been very lively.
Yeah, people were here early and often, trying to get some stuff in here. So let's get back to it. Kenneth Evans, will Big Ten fans cry a lot when FSU, Clemson, UNC, and UVA all go to the SEC?
I just love having Kenneth on the show.
It's so
every single time I see his friend, I'm like, I am starring every single one of them because they're fun.
Where's Shonsky at? Shonsky needs to get in here and start breaking our balls.
Don't you guys break my Shonsky? He's awesome.
We love him too. He comes in here and breaks our balls.
Oh man,
We're going to get
He
together
comes
for
at us on
lunch.
Sundays. He comes in here on Sundays quite often. So.
I know where he lives. I could go
Um,
stalk his house right now.
But to the question, no, maybe a lot. No. Will I shed a tear for not getting Florida State because of I'm really hopeful for that one, just so that we have an excuse to go down to Florida. Yes. But if all of those go to the SEC, I mean, I do believe at some point in time, I expected Florida State and Clemson to both go to the SEC. UNC and UVA, if they actually can separate from Virginia Tech and North Carolina State in that situation, that might be who the Big Ten goes and grabs. But all of that, I would be shocked if the SEC could grab all four of those without the Big Ten having any say in it. But no, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think the Big Ten. I think the Big Ten has played this perfectly. The SEC can't defend all fronts. You're either going to have to surrender North Carolina to get Florida State, or surrender Florida State to get North Carolina, and you can't fight a war on too many fronts.
It works.
Cleveland Rocks with a super chat. Heading back to Ohio this week after spending the winter in Florida. Thanks to all of you for the excellent topic these past months. Keep it up. I say that.
Cleveland Rocks.
yeah.
Thank you, Cleveland Rocks, for the super chat. You're coming back to Ohio at the perfect time. The weather is breaking. I haven't heard any spring peepers yet, but I'm sure within the next couple weeks we'll hear them going nuts. Thank you for the super chat, Cleveland Rocks. Truly appreciated.
Absolutely.
If Big is the only bidder for FSU, why would they offer them a full share membership?
Because they're worth it and because of what they've done, because of everything that's going to come after that. Plus, Fox would be like, yeah, we'll pay it. So, why not?
I agree. Notre Dame is the only school left on the board who can create a bidding war for their services. I don't think so. I think there's other schools that will create a bidding war. Bidding war, I don't think there's really any war. It's either you're getting a full share or you're not.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, I don't think there's anyone else on the board that can say that to the same degree that Notre Dame can. I'll give them that. But there are other schools that both Big Ten and SEC would want. So, I wouldn't say the same, size of the bidding war, but I think that there would be other schools that both would be going in for.
Got another super chat here from Edward Wayner.
There he is.
Would FSU and Notre Dame going together be the only realignment combination that would make the SEC react by adding members? Well, that deserves.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook.
I think that's a perfect combination. I think the SEC would have no choice but to go all out at that point if they added Florida State and Notre Dame in one fell swoop.
Could I say that Florida State and Notre Dame is too good of an ad?
It's a perfect ad. It's perfect.
It's too good. If you take both of them, who is going to be a carrier if you want to go past 20?
Did you guys see Ryan Thomas's thing on Twitter today? Made a prediction.
Yeah, we talked.
The three divisions of 7. And you had Notre Dame and Florida State, and who was the third one going to the Big Ten?
Miami, probably.
It was Miami or Clemson. And then the other 5. No, Clemson went to the SEC.
Yeah, he thinks 21 is the final number.
He thinks 21's for 3 conferences. And the ACC basically, you want to talk about relegation, it just loses a little bit. I'm not. That did not look unreasonable to me.
I mean,
I don't know that 21 is the number, but there was uniformity to that.
There's some complications that you're going to have a new rule passed for divisions to do that. So you have to have enough votes for that, and it might start to cut out too many. But I think Moen likes that. He was talking about he likes the 3 division look as well. So there's multiple people who prefer that. I just want to say real quick, Edward, Edward, I think you had a theory on here a little while back about a 16-team conference that included buys, and I think I named it okay. But if you could maybe put that back into chat again and explain what you said before, I'd appreciate that.
All right, we got another super chat for our boy Kerry and his dog Dash. One of my reasons you offer FSU full membership is because FSU allows Big to plant flag in SEC territory, deep in SEC territory.
Yeah, I mean that's not just Florida. That's like just right
Georgia,
across the border from Georgia, right
Alabama,
across the border from
Louisiana.
Alabama, right down the highway from Louisiana. You are good to go with that. That to me, that should scare the SEC. That moment when they're like, this could really happen, I think is when they really start to act hard.
Oh, and I got to play him as
Let him cook.
Kerry. You can cook too.
Let him cook now. Let him cook.
Even though I just played that back to back. Ryan Willie with a super chat. If ESPN pulls their offer, would Fox jump to get the CFP? Great question.
Well, we thought they were going to, and then we didn't see anything. So I don't know. I would hope so. Everybody needs to understand there's not that as much. There's the big money that was there 2 years ago is gone. That money is no longer there. Inflation is killing our economy in the United States, and it's eating into the money that can go to these different TV markets, or TV broadcasters. There's just not enough. Now it's devolving into Netflix. Netflix is doing live events now, and so it's all changed. So I think ESPN's losing so much money. Them pulling it is a bit of a bluff, but I don't know.
Yeah. Remember, pulling the offer is just the offer for 6 years total, including the next 2 years. So that's 4 years of the next iteration of the CFP. And from what we were told a while back, the other networks didn't really want to put in bids for just a couple of the initial games in these first 2 years. So that's part of why they're now trying to figure out all at once what the next versions are going to be as well. So I don't even necessarily think that ESPN has to pull their offer for Fox to jump in. It's just they have to, make the next 4 years valuable enough to then have something that these guys want to jump on. It's unfortunately complicated. If they were just doing it for those next years after 25, it would probably be a lot easier. It's just right now it still connects to these first 2 years that ESPN controls.
Thank you so much for the super chat, Ryan. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, I think streamers would jump all over that. I think at some point they would overspend, put that behind a paywall.
Do you see my private chat, Moen?
I probably have not. I'd like to see a 15-minute news short.
It's a poll.
I see it. Hold on.
Okay.
Chill
No, I
out.
wanted to make sure I made that clear. I might have read different than I intended. It's not always easy what I type. I think it is in my head, but.
Do you mean that you don't mean that live? You just mean like a taped?
No, right now. Yeah, it'd be a short. Yeah, like a 10, 15 minute update of the day type of a thing. You guys, this is awesome. You guys got engagement all the way across.
Yeah.
You guys are doing such a good job.
I told you it's pretty simple. People just
we don't. Hey, look, we have the easiest job in the world. Chat does all the heavy lifting. Chat does all the heavy lifting for us. These guys come up with awesome questions for us. Like
it helps us know what they want to know. Like what you're
Right.
doing right now, and you're asking them if they want this or not. That's exactly what I mean. They let us know what they want to know and what they want to talk about, and we talk about it. And if we don't have answers, we know to look for that in the future and try and provide them.
Absolutely. It's interesting. You know, we're changing our formats a little bit. We're adding a lot more content, and one of the things I really care about is what they want. You know, I'm trying to change my thinking from what we wanted to produce, what we think is important, to what they actually want to see.
Mhm.
And it's a different mindset. It takes a while to turn it on.
Yeah, it's all started, folks. We were all just kind of having fun talking about this stuff, and people started watching. It's like, okay, great, people are interested, and so now it's to the point where, what do people really want to watch? Even more so. I mean, there's it's fine tuning it, and we're kind of finding you guys really like to be engaged, and quite frankly, we enjoy that as well.
So did you put the poll out? I'm not watching YouTube.
Yeah, it's up.
It
Okay.
is.
So and preseason champions already has seen it. So he says, good luck keeping it to 15 minutes if it includes live
Yeah,
chat.
no.
So that would be the question. Which would you guys rather see? Would you guys rather see a 15, 20-minute short with live, or would you just like an update? Because I'm considering both. That's a great comment.
You won't be like, he's right. If a 15-minute thing would have to be just like a quick filmed and put out there for people to get, and then say, come to our show later for more in-depth analysis and talk if you want. But he's right. If you try to do a live thing for 15 minutes, you'll talk about one thing, and that's about it.
Yeah. It's more about creating appointment programming.
I would try to get in a bunch of topics on at a very shallow level,
Right.
just to get people's attention with it, and then then later on we can go into more depth with it.
Mike Smith says I need to wear more wife beaters. I'm not a very big guy. I don't look good without a jacket on.
Mike,
that is fantastic.
Well,
Now,
I am
Antoine,
a big guy and I don't look good with a jacket on.
Antoine Codes says a 15-minute short does not need to be live, just a quick update. Well, that's what I'm asking. Is that something you guys would be interested in? That's why I asked the question.
All right. So the answer was 78% yes.
Really?
Yes.
It's pretty
Okay.
overwhelming.
What do you guys think about that idea?
I think it's a good idea. I think the people saying no are worried that you won't do the live shows as well. I don't think you. Yeah,
how can I do anything less well? I don't understand that.
No,
It
I know.
doesn't
Like you're
take away-
saying, like shortening.
Yeah.
It says, because the question is, would you like to see a 15-minute news live update data?
Oh,
I think
instead
that they're saying,
of.
I think they're thinking that you're going to cut it down to just
fair.
15 minutes. And so,
See, that's why having you guys around is so important. I didn't even
but I
think
think
about that.
everyone would be on board with
Ryan,
this if it
I
was
think-
like,
Right.
just like a 15-minute short. Like these are all the news things of the day, and for some people, that's all they want to know. And then for the rest, it's
Right.
like, come to our live show and we're going to go more in depth with this. And then people can take part and tell us what they think. And we all get to have the same amount of fun that we're doing right now.
Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. I'm going to dip out. You guys are doing much better with just Immaculate and Moen. I just wanted to ask to see. I think I'm going to throw something together. So watch in the future for those updates. If we start doing them, I'll definitely let everybody know. You guys have a great night. It's good to see you.
Appreciate it, Program
Good to see you,
Director
Nate.
Bomber.
We'll see you on Tuesday.
Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Sounds good.
And tomorrow night, Big West Mafia with Sergeant Pickles and Becky. They will be on at the same time, 8 p.m. Eastern.
There you go.
Perfect.
All right,
Thanks
we'll
for
dip
stopping
out.
by, Nate. Send your
You
wife
guys have
love.
a great night. Okay. All right. Bye-bye. Peace
See
out.
ya. Let's get back to some questions here. Mr. Monkey says, "I know we fell behind, guys, but
Yeah, we're going to have to push
usually
hard.
we don't have Nate jump on here, so
He was
we'll
hiding from
try
the
and-
wife. It's all good.
He was hyped. Can non-P2 threaten to walk away in basketball if P2 tries to walk away in football?" I think he's talking about the ACC and Big 12 using their basketball prowess
Mhm.
to leverage against the Power 2 football prowess.
I don't think anyone wants to do anything with basketball differently than what's going on. I definitely don't think the non-P2 would want to walk away in basketball. Look at what the Big 12 is doing with how many teams are going to get into the tournament now. I think they want it to even expand. So any talk about walking away in basketball is basically going alongside with leaving the NCAA, because you're threatening what keeps the NCAA alive in that tournament. So no, but that doesn't mean they don't have any leverage. If that makes sense.
Rock and Rant visiting Tallahassee and South Beach are very different versions of Florida. I can agree there. The Panhandle is very different from the Florida Keys.
I like Tampa the best, personally.
You like that in between where it's.
I like the in between. Like Miami is awesome, but there's just so much going on there. Tampa's just a little bit more low key, and Tallahassee's just a little too far north.
Yeah, I like all of Florida when it's winter.
Yeah.
Jet, Moen, do you believe Florida kids will embrace playing football in cold weather? They already do. But I would second point I would bring up is you're not playing in cold weather a lot of times in the Big Ten.
It's actually very nice.
Until like the last game of the season, last game or two of the season, you might have some cold weather, but for the most part,
if anything, they might like it.
Yeah, 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, those kind of things.
Playing down there in that warm, humid weather, I mean, that's what they grew up knowing. But once they get a little taste of it just being a little bit cooler and a little less humid, they actually kind of like it.
Yeah, and Ohio State recruited really well in Florida this offseason, so, and they have in past seasons as well. Thank you for the question, Jet. Appreciate that. Immaculate, since you live in Arizona, what school is better if Big Ten wanted to get into Arizona, ASU or Arizona?
Well, as I told him in chat, my answer to this is going to have bias. Personally, I think in the past, that answer would have easily been Arizona, like not even close. But ASU has been making strides, and they lie within a better footprint. Not that Arizona doesn't have any Phoenix coverage, but just by being here in Phoenix for Big Ten folks that live here, it's the better option just for actually being able to watch their teams come to town rather than having to drive a couple hours south to get to Tucson to watch it. So right now with Arizona State having closed the gap in terms of research, AAU, they have hockey, basketball, football. I'm leaning ASU at this point in time. But I am biased. I'm here in Scottsdale, and I also, too, would rather have it be ASU so that I could watch the Hawks come to town.
Fair enough. Got another super chat from our buddy Marcus Williams. Are you guys forgetting Fox and ESPN are partners? That's a limited partnership. That doesn't mean they're not buddy-buddy. They're still going to compete against each other in several aspects.
It's like two competing brothers that don't really get along, but realize, like, their territory is now starting to be infringed upon by others. They're kind of looking at each other a little bit differently, but they're still each other's main competitors.
Yeah. They're sharing the same clubhouse, but they got different lemonade stands. Thank you for the super chat, Marcus. Much appreciated, sir. Mike Smith, I want my $2. He's a savage Steve Holland fan. I like it. I like it a lot. I got the reference.
Mike.
To be honest, I want to see Moen doing a funnel of whiskey.
Good
okay,
Lord.
So Rock and Rant wants to see Moen dead. Thank you, Rock and Rant. I appreciate that.
All they're going to see is an empty screen. Like, Moen's passed out. It's now the Immaculate show for the next
They want to
15
see
minutes.
projectile vomiting live on YouTube.
Oh, that's funny. I got to continue until he comes back and turns off the show.
Good luck keeping it to 15 minutes if it includes a live chat.
Totally.
Wrap that up.
Yep.
If one day you guys all got together, would be kind of cool if you guys did a live show together. I hope this came out right. Yeah, there's been talk about doing some networking things. So I don't know how we would pull off a live show together.
Who's he talking about?
He's talking about, I think, all of us.
We do.
Well, I think he means like a live show where we're all sitting at the same table.
Oh, God. No, yeah, you guys should all come down to Phoenix sometime.
Boy, I'm about close to 300 pounds. The last place I want to be is Phoenix, Arizona.
If you come here at the right time of the year.
Jose, daily anything college football is always desired. Mafia drank. Yeah, if Bomber wants to do that, I mean, You know,
I think it's a
Bomber
good
loves to
idea.
get feedback from you guys. So if you come up with something he didn't get to here, by all means, message him on Twitter at B12 Mafia, and let him know. Send him a DM or just tag him in a tweet. Larry, the GM, who we had on our Big Freaking Friday show, guys, the conferences will not eliminate conference championship games and want to expand them. Does that kill the 16-team CFP?
No, Larry, we're in agreement this time. Actually, yes, that's exactly it. In my opinion, that they will continue to go down this route, and it will continue to be complicated and difficult and unable to come to a full agreement on anything. And anytime that happens, your answer sooner or later becomes decentralization. So I'm thinking that we'll get conference championship playoff tournaments and then a smaller CFP of champions. So I would say yes. Moen, I don't think he agrees with that just yet, but I'm in the minority on that.
Yeah, we had a 45-minute conversation this week where Immaculate almost swayed me to his way of thinking.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
He almost swayed me to the dark side, but not quite yet. Not quite yet. Preseason champs. Big 12 wants to expand the basketball tournament because it benefits them. Interesting when the shoe is on the other foot.
I mean, that's their job, though. Like, find out where your strength is and try to maximize it. Everyone's doing it, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're horrible for doing this. We're horrible for doing that." It's all of us are just fans out here watching the business folks try to get as much as they can.
Yep. Trying to make $1.50 out of $1.40. Clearwater Beach, Florida is a great place to be, says Scott Schrader. Yeah, I heard there's that's like a UFO hotspot or something. Clearwater Beach. So
if it lives up to the name, that sounds great.
I'm sure Greg Flugar would love to be there to see the UFOs. Once again, if you're just joining us now, we want to send out our thoughts and prayers to Greg while he's working through his infection. Jose, there has been a vacuum for CFP content like this. BTN and ESPNU were our only options in the past. Is ESPNU still a thing? Or did they drop it?
I think it's a thing, but it's way down the channel listings.
Okay.
And that might actually be one of the things that's getting pulled off of the bundle based upon some of the battles that have been going on. But I think it's still a thing.
Right. Daniel Gygax, my favorite last name ever. Rock Chalk 94. Amazon and Apple have a backup for their streaming services. Good to know. Immaculate, if P2 leaves in football, why would the non-P2 ever agree to play basketball with them? Let the P2 get stuck with a 16-team tournament while non-P2 continues with the 68-team bracket.
I mean, he's not wrong. Like, I get it. I'm not a believer at all in any type of breakaway. To me, it's just negotiation talk. If anyone really wanted to do that, they would have done it. It's like last resort type of stuff. So, but that being said, your logic here, no, I get it. I don't think any of that's actually going to happen.
All sitting at the same table, but sitting on each other's laps. Hot. You know what would make a better Mike Smith? Mike Smith serving us shots of whiskey and a crop top and Daisy Dukes.
Wow. That went in a direction that I just was
We need
not
to make
ready
that
for.
happen.
There you go, folks. There's another Moen After Dark moment.
There you go. J Baller 54. Love your guys' format. Moen and Immaculate do a great job. Always very informative on Sundays. Awesome. Yeah, this again, Immaculate, well, I'm sure he'll echo this thought, but this is all you guys. We're letting you get your thoughts out there, your comments. So we just do our best to steer the ship. You guys are the ones who are actually doing all the rowing.
I just watch and see what you guys respond to. Like if it's shows where we're up here just talking, or if it's shows where you guys are more heavily engaged. And to me, it's pretty obvious. That's why we call this a community. You guys want to be engaged and part of it. And quite frankly, I learned just as much from you guys as I think you would learn from me. So I prefer this myself.
Thank you, Jay Ballard. Marcus Williams, have you guys thought about getting some SEC guests to join the show full time?
Yes.
If anybody from the SEC would like to come on the show, send me a DM on Twitter. We would actually like to have an SEC Mafia show somewhere on the channel, but we need some SEC people to get a hold of us. So if you know any SEC people out there who'd be interested, by all means, send them our way. We would love to talk to them. We'd love to have everybody, we do G5 to all the autonomous 4 conferences. So we'll take anybody.
Yeah, it's just, you know how that goes. It's, the fact that there's an actual advisory committee between the 2 conferences right now is pretty hard to understand, considering Big Ten and SEC folks tend to be like oil and water. But if we can actually get someone who'd want to come over and hang out and provide that view too, I mean, that would be great. And we're absolutely open for it. And we got thick skin. We can take the barbs. It's quite okay.
Yeah, we get our balls broke constantly, so it doesn't bother us. Jet, do you guys believe the marketplace would support Big 12 ACC, and I think he means G5, creating their own playoff and playing for a championship? I mean, I'm sure there's a market for it. I don't think that they're going to make nearly as much money as they would in a playoff with the Big Ten and the SEC. Larry the GM, that was the point of my team article, Immaculate.
Yeah, and like I said, like there's details that we probably don't agree on, but that's on a general premise. I agree that this isn't actually going to get worked out, that we're seeing that they aren't getting along very well with it. So it's going to break down to something else. Now, we might then disagree on what that something else is, which is, the 8-team versus 6-team. But, in generally, we agree on the breakdown aspect of what's going on.
Tony Lawson, how about a 15-minute show hating on the Badgers?
That would just be
like
Tony.
We'll
just put
That'd
Tony
just
on
you,
cam,
Tony.
and it'll be good.
Hating on Badgers with the wide angle lens. Edward Wayner, did y'all read Genetic 56 dissertation today stating that he thinks P2 will be the only conferences that will be able to afford the employment of athletes? I didn't read that because he blocked me, and I ain't chuffed about it.
I could still see his stuff, and on occasion I read them like, that's a very interesting thought. When it comes to these, like you're saying, a dissertation about a separation, I've seen enough. I'm not a believer in that. That's okay. But no, the answer to that is no. And also, to me, it's a pretty extreme position that only certain schools will be able to afford this, because what that does is that means a whole lot of student athletes are going to lose their sports. And they're talking about unionizing all these kids, which means they all have votes. So the likelihood of that happening to me, in my opinion, is not very good. I think that the amount that these guys actually make in this employment status is going to be a lot less than they're thinking it's going to be. And a lot of the people that they think would be their allies in that are going to find out that it would mean that their sports will get cut. And very quickly, those kids are not going to be their allies. So it's not so cut and dry on where this goes.
Mr. Monkey says, in my opinion, this channel needs a KU Mafia channel. If you want to do something for Kansas, man, we'll have Kansas fans on too. I'd love to hear Kansas fans' take on whether they'd like to be Big 10, SEC, or Big 12. I really would.
And there's a lot of Kansas fans that come in here, so I think that would actually get traction if some folks wanted to put that together.
Or be a guest on the show. I mean, if any Kansas fans want to be on the show, let me know. We'll throw you on here.
Yeah, we keep trying to get somebody to come on.
Yeah. Tony Lawson, Jamie Thornton is a Razorback. That she is.
She does a show too with some, but I don't think it's about college football and sports. It's about other topics. But yeah, I mean, I kind of assume at some point in time she's going to move to this. She's on that pathway right now. She already does something similar. She calls into Greg's all the time. I mean, all the boxes are getting checked. So I do think at some point in time that'll happen.
Summit Hawk, gotta run, y'all. Mafia,
Oh.
Georgia Tech. Okay. So
I see where this is going.
that's for you, Summit Hawk. I'll kick to it. All right, guys, we're at 110 viewers right now. If you guys could, if you have not done so yet, make sure to give the stream a like or a share on Twitter. We would appreciate that. Helps us boost in both the algorithms. Would be greatly appreciated. And I'm not going to bug you about super chats because we've had quite a bit of super chats and members tonight, and we are grateful for every single one of them. You guys are awesome. Mike Smith, crop top, and Daisy Dukes. You had me at hello. You got to wear cowboy boots too.
Oh,
I used to have a friend when I was a kid whose dad would come outside in his briefs and cowboy boots at night to yell at us. It was
whatever
like
he says, just be like, yes, sir, and move on. You do not want to look at that for too long.
paying too damn much for pop. Y'all leave half cans sitting around. God rest you, John. KU to the Big Ten would be great for academics too. I think, yes, that's out of all the Big 12 teams, KU is probably the most Big Ten of.
And right above that was Don in Kansas saying no. So
Yes,
it's interesting to see how the KU faithful are very divided on this, and understandably so. I think Kansas, I'll be honest, I think they did good either way. If they stay in the Big 12, I think that they have a chance to become a major power. Like, not just every once in a while, but major in both basketball and football, and could be one of the premier, if not the top dog in that conference, 5-10 years down the road. But I think that they could also do very well in the Big Ten. They've got, I think Iowa and Kansas could be a great rivalry going forward. I know a lot of Kansas folks here. We're very similar. Nebraska, would love to see Kansas beat them a few times. So, whatever which way they go, I think that they're good.
Hawkin 2 wants to let us know he's a Kansas Jayhawk fan.
There's a lot of Jayhawk fans. You guys definitely show strong.
Jet says, according to The Athletic, Caleb Williams made $10 million in NIL deals, and he's probably going to be the first overall pick, too. So Caleb Williams is going to be set for life.
I think leaving early for the NFL is becoming less and less a thing as we go forward into this new future.
Mike Smith, looking forward to the Mafia show. Forget about it.
Forget about it. We talked about that.
Forget about it.
Hashtag forget about it.
Forget about it. It's like, forget about it.
Forget about it.
Jet, you guys do a great job. College football fans deserve a platform to express their opinions. They absolutely do. We're fans just like you. This is for the fans, by the fans. It's been the mantra of this channel since it started.
It's brainstorming. Like, we could sit here and just prattle on our own thoughts, and those will get very stale. Or we could bounce ideas off of each other and maybe actually come up to some really good ideas. And that's the whole point of it all. It's just brainstorming together and giving everyone a chance to be part of it. I mean, what's more fun, sitting here and just watching two guys talk or talking with them?
Clay Johansson, should the Big Ten get an Amazon Prime game on Thursday night or Thursday right before the Thursday night NFL game so you can play back to back? I think they'd be better off with a Friday night game and feature your West Coast teams, your Oregon, your Washington, your USC, or UCLA.
Yeah, I tend to think competing, even if it's not at the same time, still, like, you're asking folks to watch both when in reality they're probably going to watch one or the other for most. I don't think that I wouldn't want to challenge them. I would, like Moen's saying, I would probably try to do Friday.
All right. Preseason champs Ohio would love the Kansas versus Iowa and Nebraska type games. He wants people to fight over corn.
And wheat.
and wheat. Mr. Monkey says KU admin is not split. They would go Big Ten in a second.
There. But how about donors? How about money people, influence people? Because that's the difference to what's going on in Florida State. Before, all those folks were all pro SEC, whereas the admin was probably leaning Big Ten. But what happened with the CFP, reportedly and assumedly, turned a lot of those boosters against the SEC and ESPN. So it takes both. There's a lot of influence peddlers in these things.
All right. FCS guy with a super chat. Thanks for the show, guys. Thank you, FCS guy. You're definitely a legend here on the channel. We appreciate you.
Yeah, definitely. And, love to get into kind of a talk with FCS fans as well about where they see the future for the FCS. How many schools might jump up? You're expecting maybe some to come down. So it's a not often talked about topic, but in my opinion, it's one that we might see movement on before we see big time FBS movement.
Sergeant Pickles, Kansas is perfect that way. Iowa can have 4 protected rivals and play basically nobody else. Ain't that the truth?
You know what? I like the way you think.
Tony Lawson, Sergeant Pickles, I like your Iowa hate level. Very refreshing.
It's true. I expect that from a gopher.
All right, guys, we're winding down here. I have an announcement to make. It's going to be a little bit of a bummer, but I'm going to make it anyway. I was recently diagnosed with a potential cancerous tumor on my thyroid. I just found this out on Friday. I'm going to have to go in for surgery on the 21st of this month. It could affect my voice, so it could be a couple weeks, couple months before I can start doing some more hosting gigs. So Moen After Dark will take a pause, or Immaculate. Maybe you can think you can hold the fort down with somebody else, Immaculate, to do all this crazy stuff.
Maybe
We'll figure something out. But I'll be around in the background, but I just won't be able to host until my voice recovers from the surgery. So Moen After Dark might take a hiatus. You'll probably see less of me on the channel. But just know I'm trying to get back as soon as I can get back from it. But she said it could take anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks to a couple months for the voice to recover from having the thyroid removed. So we will go from there. Just wanted to let everybody know why I'm not there. If I'm not there one day, that'll be the reason why. So and I hate to bring it down. I didn't want to bring it down on Friday. So, and I hate to bring it down now, but we're doing our wrap up. So I wanted to get that out there and get that just so people know and they're aware of it.
Yeah, we'll try to figure out something, guys. And trust us, we know, we can see you guys love the Sunday. You saw
Sunday Fun Day.
Saw Bomber stopping in here. I mean, everyone here on the team knows. So, maybe we'll talk with Pickles. Maybe we'll see. It's just not really something
maybe
I want to think about right
now. We can
this
have
moment.
rotating guest host.
Yeah.
Jay Leno's going to come take my spot. He's going to take my job from me, people.
I don't know if we can do it as Moen After Dark, man. I got to tell you, without Moen, I don't know if there's a replacement for what we do in terms of just.
I can pantomime. I can just doll up my face in white and just.
Yeah, it would probably work too. We'll see, guys. We wanted to let you guys know that, so that way if you weren't wondering with the disappearance, if he was coming back at all, and he definitely will.
Oh yeah,
we'll definitely
trust me.
I've
by the grace of God and some great doctors, I've beat cancer before, and this thyroid thing it's nothing. It's just a surgery and then no chemo or anything like that. I might need an additional surgery to take care of the right side, but right now we're just getting the left out. Thank you for all the prayers for my health, but this is your show. I want to see this done. Been fighting colon cancer myself since July. Sorry to hear this news. Said Don, keep on fighting, man. That's why they're there. Those fights are there to win, dude. So you keep on fighting.
But yeah, anything else that's kind of been going on in? I don't want to cut off what you're doing here, but just for folks that be thinking about to post and other stuff to us, anything else that people have had questions on as he's starting to wrap things up, that you've seen during the week, maybe in previous weeks, anything you guys have wanted to bring up at all? It's kind of like your last chance for today, but also, last chance for a little bit. So, if you got something.
Well, I'll be here next
right now.
Sunday. Listen,
Right,
I don't
right,
go
right.
in for the
Just-
surgery till the 21st, so I'm just giving you guys advance warning. Carrie here, been in remission myself for almost a year now from stage 4 lung cancer. Glad to hear it, Carrie. That's what I like to hear. People in remission.
Nice.
Cancer is a bitch. You're absolutely right, but you can fight it and you can win. Douglas Zickfoos, how you going to drink on antibiotics? Well, that's the other thing. I'll probably have to cut down on the drinking coming up here. I don't want to drink too much where I'm, on the anesthesiast table and I wake up with them fingers deep in my throat. I hope the best way. Will the doctor prescribe additional shots of Georgia Tech whiskey? I think they might prescribe something a little stronger than that.
Hope so.
As a KU fan, like I've said before, I would love just as much rather stick in the Big 12. I think Yormark has solidified the conference with the moves he has made. I think this conference is good. I've heard that a lot. That a lot of Kansas fans, when I've brought this up, is like, no, we want to stay in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Quite a few. I would almost dare say more. I think more Kansas fans are really feeling high about the way the Big 12 is now. I think many of them would probably say that they still think that Kansas would make the move if they got the offer. But I think fans, they want to stay with the Big 12.
Best guess for how agreement will end. 4-4-2-2-1, 3-3-2-2-1 with auto buys. Oh boy, that's a tough question.
I almost feel like it's too early. But best guess is what he's asking for, so
I think 3-3-2-2-1 with auto buys. I think it's going to happen. I think they'll come to some agreement, whether it's taking less money to make it happen or something. I think that's just they're going to push that. The conferences are going to push it. We'll see. What do you think? What's your best guess?
3-3. And this is just the next stage. Like beyond that, what's the final end? I think we've seen that at least those two conferences definitely want to protect the buys in their conference tournament. So I think that stays, unfortunately. 3-3 instead of 2, I would say 2.5, which comes down to 5 for the Big 12 and ACC total. So there's one that goes to one or the other based upon rankings, and then the one. And that would leave 2 at-larges. One is Notre Dame. So there's really only one at-large for everybody. So I think that would be what my next push would be for the Big 12 is say, okay, sure, you say that, that's fine. We give you that, but we want at least one more AQ between the two of us. So
or they
Big
should
10
ask for an AQ with a qualifier, with like saying, hey, if we have a team in the top 15.
I wouldn't let them come back with that though.
Right.
I wouldn't put that in myself if I was the Big 12. I would let the other side then make a qualifier. I would. That's what I would push for, because you're still not saying. I mean, they could come back and be like, okay, you get the 3-3 and the bye, and we get 3-3 with no bye. But then there's only one at large, and that's Notre Dame. So I think that I would just go with the 2.5. That's what I would go with next. We'll see.
What's USC record going to be next year? I think 7-5 if they're lucky.
God, that's such a hard one, man. They've had so much going on there with that team. I mean, 7-5, 8-4. I don't think they're going to dominate. And it's going to be a lot of transition and figuring out all the travel and You remember there's some of those games that they might be playing. I haven't seen them. If they're going out east, that's a 3-hour time difference that those guys are going to have to get used to. And some of those games, hopefully, they're not forced to play any like noon games on the East Coast, or really even in Central. But at some point, they're probably going to, and that's going to be very early for those guys in their time clocks.
Jet, how do you guys feel about fans being expected to subsidize pay for play? Oklahoma reported a recent operating revenue of $199 million.
So I guess he's talking about maybe like increased prices. I mean,
No, he's talking about, and I'll tell you what, from an Ohio State fan, that the NIL has been hammering fans to pony up money.
Oh yeah, silly.
When these schools are making, these gigantic sums of money that they're putting it all on the fans. I mean, I'll be honest with you. You can't afford, if you're a casual fan, you can't afford to go see an Ohio State game every year. I get alumni tickets occasionally, and that's about the only way I could afford it. It's ridiculous. Conundrum says 7 and 5 or 8 or 4 for. Oh, wait a second. He was answering somebody else. What's Washington's record next season? Oh boy, I think Washington's got a rough one, don't they?
Yeah, unfortunately, things kind of went a little downhill for them. Kind of in the same boat. I think 7 and 5, they pulled that off. They're going to be right around in that 500 mark.
Yeah, I'll give them 7 and 5. I think 6 and 6 might be a little more accurate, but I'll go ahead and give them 7 and 5. Ryan Willie, with all of Tony's hate of Wisconsin, I hope Wisconsin goes on another 13 or 14 game winning streak. Best wishes, Moen. Hey, I hope Ohio State does the same thing against Michigan again.
So sounds like Wisconsin has kind of got the same relationship with Minnesota that Iowa does. We beat them, and then every once in a while we let them win, just so looks like it's a rivalry.
Jay Baller Moen, you got this. Head up sending prayers. Yeah, I'm not sweating it. Been through this before. Who are your top 5 teams? Coy, who's a member for 2 months. Thank you, Coy. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Who are your top 5 teams record-wise next year? Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Texas, and LSU.
Ohio State is my number 1. Texas number 2. Georgia number 3. Oh, man, I'm thinking, I'm kind of feeling Penn State. And then you might be right with LSU. But I'm actually going to go all kind of crazy here, and I'm going to say Tennessee.
Tennessee? Okay.
I really like their young quarterback. I think that guy's going to be a stud.
Yeah, the number 5 could be anybody. I think there could be a 10-way tie at number 5. So that's why I'm putting out.
Could be Florida State.
Yeah,
it could be. They're not even thinking about them. I mean, they could run right through the ACC.
But I mean, there could be 10 teams that end up finishing at 11 and 2. That would be for that number 5 slot. Conundrum gives his predictions for it. UCLA 5-7, USC 8-4, Oregon 11-1.
That seems reasonable. Yep.
Yeah, the Oregon-Ohio State game is going to be one of those marquee games of the season. And I would not be shocked if that's a rematch in the championship game.
Could be. Could very well be.
Nathan Campbell wants your record for Texas and Oklahoma. I think Texas goes undefeated this year. I said it. I think they win the SEC this year.
I'm not going to go against that. Undefeated, you always think that, I think there's going to be one team that gets them, but I do think that they win the SEC. Oklahoma, 8-4. Right around in that, not at the 500 level, but not quite as well set up to go into the SEC as Texas. But at the same time, the SEC is not as strong. as it has been in all
but
years past.
Oklahoma losing Dylan Gabriel, that's got to be a huge blow for them. Quinn Ewers is coming back to Texas. Texas didn't lose a whole lot of talent. I mean, they're ready to reload. So I have to go with Texas on that. Joaquin Morales had to pause the live feed, just started feedback up. Huge thank you to the College Football Mafia for the membership gift. No problem, Joaquin Morales. We like to give those promo ones out at the beginning of the month. Right after the show, right after you've caught up, go ahead and watch that latest Wild University video on how Miami fits into the Big Ten. We love those members-only videos that Wild U does. Mr. Monkey says, I never ever thought about KU to SEC, but they are starting to build a pod with historical value to KU, plus University of Kentucky, KU, and University of North Carolina, possibly in the same conference in basketball. Not saying it will happen, though.
I mean, yeah, you'd have Texas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Missouri. I mean, that's damn near like a 5-team division right there.
Yeah, but you could have basketball powers like UCLA and Michigan State and Indiana in the same conference.
Be back with Nebraska. I mean, it's if anyone has options in the future, it's Kansas. They're not at this stage right now. But later, I do believe that they might actually have multiple suitors.
Immaculate Floyd has filed for divorce from the Iowa City Tramp.
He's just negotiating. He just wants to have a little bit better deal when he comes back home.
Tempest, if FSU gets past Notre Dame, we could go undefeated. It's all going to depend on how DJ plays. I think it's going to depend on how he plays and how much that defense bounces back after losing so many people to the draft.
I definitely think that Florida State, I mean, they're going to have a lot of, shall we say, momentum, desire. Like, they're going to come out with a lot to prove. So folks better not sleep on them this coming year, like I just did when we were talking about our rankings, and realize it at the end. Florida State could come out swinging pretty hard this year.
Yeah. Terry Kane says Ugo will win the SEC. I think it'll come down to Ugo versus Texas, and I think Texas will win it. That's just me.
It'll be a good game.
Quinn Ewers has still got that cannon. They've still got a lot of talent at Texas. I think they're poised to make a run. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Hold on, and one more question. Douglas Zicafus, Moen, when FSU is in the big, I'll get your first drink when the Buckeyes play in Tallahassee. I will take you up on that.
There you go.
Because I know how expensive drinks are at the stadium. If you come to Ohio Stadium and you want a drink, I'll cobble together the $12.50 for a beer and buy you a beer. So,
careful what you ask for, though, and how many tickets you give to Ohio State for that first game. They'll come down there in numbers.
We travel really, really well.
They will be there.
Really, really well. Jet, Texas is losing too much on defense to compete for an SEC championship. Over-under for OU should be 8.5. They will be better at QB with freshman Jackson Arnold. Bold claim. And then Tony Lawson, 13-0, should get FSU in the 12-team playoff. Hard for ESPN to screw them over then. Yeah, don't count on it. You know, they might say that quarterback, you know, somebody might stub their toe and they might say that's reason enough to let them out. So, all right, guys, we're going to take off here. I will remind you the Big West Mafia show is tomorrow at 8 with Sergeant Pickles and Becky Go Huskies. They're talking about all the West Coast football news. And then myself and Immaculate, we will see you on Tuesday for the next episode of the Big 12 Mafia show at 8 p.m. You have anything you want to say, Immaculate?
Fun as always, guys. I always look forward to the Sunday show. Thanks for coming in here and really showing up and being there with us and keeping us busy with all your questions. It makes this very easy and a lot of fun. So definitely, like you said, see you guys on Tuesday and maybe even tomorrow. We may have to jump on a little bit with Pickles and them if we get some big news coming out of the CFP, but should be a busy week. Looking forward to it, guys. So take care, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you for all the well wishes and all the great questions, guys. Thank you for everybody who became a member, gifted a membership, left a super chat. You guys don't know how much that means to us as a channel. If you have not done so yet, if you could give us a like on the way out, that would be appreciated. If you're watching on demand, feel free to leave a comment. We do engage with comment section, so we will get in there and mix it up with you if you leave a comment for it. So until Tuesday, love you guys. We'll see you soon. Peace out.